Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the Tiqets Culture Festival today. We're so excited to be here together and to experience culture from home, but not alone with you guys. Today is our Nature Day, and our session with Brandon Fisher from Gatorland is going to start in just a minute, and we'll get to meet a bunch of the alligators who you might be able to see behind him already. But that said, we're really excited to meet the Gators today and to kind of transport us all to beautiful, sunny Florida. The Gators look like they're sunbathing at the moment. Brandon, I'll pass it to you to take us away.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody out there, wherever you are in the world today joining us. We appreciate you joining us here today. Awesome stuff. And Gatorland is so happy to participate in this and be a partner in this and highlight Gatorland to y'all, especially during these times when you can't get out and can't be traveling at the moment. We're just looking forward to the day that, international travel starts back up, especially here in Florida, and we start getting a whole bunch of visitors here. But a little history of Gatorland. I'm going to pass the phone off here to somebody holding for me. My arm's starting to get tired now, But anyway, so a little bit of history of Gatorland. Gatorland has been open since 1949 here in Orlando, Florida. That was 21 years BD, before Disney. 21 years before Disney, y'all. So we've been here for a long time. One of Florida's original attractions. Besides having alligators and crocodiles, we have all kinds of critters. Panthers, bobcats, snakes, bugs, birds, lizards, a petting zoo. We have a train ride. We have a big zip line that goes over our alligators. It's called the Screaming Gator Zip Line. We also have a single zip line ride called the Gator Gauntlet, which is a handicap accessible zip line, and it's the only one here on the eastern United States. Our Screaming Gator zip line is one of the top 10 voted in the United States, so it's a lot of fun. And we have our big stomping off-road stomping gator swamp buggy. I can't even say it all. It's too many words. But our big old swamp buggy ride there that goes over muds and over mud, over hills, through a big pond full of alligators. Is a lot of fun. So there's something fun for all ages to do here at Gatorland. Now, directly at the moment, we have a few of our things that aren't open due to COVID-19 and due to the restraints in social distancing. We just can't accomplish it in all of our areas. But for the most part, most of the park is open currently right now, and we have a lot of local visitors coming in at the moment. We just reopened a few weeks ago, and we're just ready to get this ball going and start getting back to some normalcy here. But as you can see right here behind me, we have some of the largest and biggest alligators we have here at Gatorland. We're at our North Adventure Hour feeding area in our breeding marsh. Our breeding marsh is 10 acres big, and we have about 350 alligators out there swimming around. It's a mixture of both males and females. And right behind me, these boys are hungry right now, and these gals are hungry as well. It is breakfast time, almost lunchtime for them, and they're ready to go. But this is the first nice sunny day we've had in Florida for about a week now. So we are happy to be out here. It is warm. It is sunny. Nice breeze blowing. The gators are loving it. And I think we're going to start feeding here pretty soon. So really, really neat stuff there. So let me go ahead and toss a couple pieces here and show you how these guys move here. So the camera's going to stay right there. Let me just pop out real quick, and you can see this. All right, so we got some food for them, and what we feed our alligators is red meat. I'll hold it up to the camera a little bit. We got some good old steak for these alligators. They eat chicken, fish, and one of my favorites right here, his name's Turnpike. I'm going to toss him a little piece. You can get it right on the side there. There he goes for it. Now, the way these alligators eat is they move their heads side to side searching for food. So we just like to toss it right at the side of their face so they get it. But Turnpike is an awesome gator. That other one scared him a little bit. Turnpike actually came to us from the wild. So he was a nuisance alligator, meaning some people were feeding him, and he got used to people, and he came closer. And here in Florida, nuisance gators are a big problem. People feed them. They think they can. And what happens is these gators get way too used to people too quickly. So they come closer, and that's where you guys probably hear those stories about dogs getting in, kitty cats missing, or this person bit here in Florida by alligators, because that's what we hear on the news all the time, especially this time of year during breeding season for the alligators here. So Turnpike was a nuisance gator. He was caught by a trapper who is licensed here in the state of Florida to go out and catch wild alligators if they're a problem. We paid the trapper to keep him alive and brought him here to Gatorland and basically saved his life. That's part of our conservation efforts globally called Gatorland Global, which helps save alligators here in the state of Florida, helps save crocodiles through the world. We got Cuban crocodiles in Cuba, American crocodiles that are here in Florida, down in Jamaica as well. And we're working with some stuff out in Australia and here pretty soon in India as well. All part of our conservation efforts here for these animals. These guys have been around for 37 million years, and all that's changed. They've gotten a little smaller here, and we want them to be here for many million more. These guys are modern-day dinosaurs, the next closest thing you're going to get to them besides birds. But enough of me talking. You guys want to see some action right now, so let's just keep tossing them some food here, and you'll see them eat. And make sure if you guys have a question, you put it in the comments there, and I'll be glad to answer those questions when we get to the Q&A here. We also have Danny, one of our other trainers here at Gatorland, up in our big conference room tuning in right now as well. And we're going to show him here in just a minute, but he's got a cute little thing to show you guys as well, just to show you the size difference of these guys. Now, way back here in the back, if we can zoom, one of the cameras here can zoom in a little bit to the far right, you're going to see our largest alligator we have here in the park. All the way over here in the corner, right there, just hit him with a piece of meat on the back there. But all the way down there, that's Buddy. He just grabbed it. He's chewing down on it. He's going to tilt his head up just a little bit. So Buddy is 13 feet 8 inches and weighs about 1,200 pounds. Now, really, really giant. These guys get huge. Males average about 12 to 14 feet long. Females average about 7 to 9 feet. And the biggest alligator ever found in the history of these guys, 19 feet 2 inches long, found in Louisiana in the late 1800s. Now, again, prehistoric relatives were much bigger than that. But modern day history, 19 feet 2 inches was the largest here. Now, I'm going to have my camera follow me here just a little closer. All right. And we're going to show you a really cool alligator and just show you how resilient these guys are. Predator. Predator, come here. This guy's name is Predator. Predator, here. Come here, Predator. Come on. Come a little closer. All right, so Predator is one of our big famous gators here in the breeding marsh. And you'll notice he's missing part of his bottom jaw here. It's cut in half. So he got in a big fight many, many years ago and got part of his jaw ripped off in that fight. Predator, hold. And this is just the way it healed, hence his name Predator. There you go. Oh, listen to that. They're putting on a show for you guys. Predator, hold still. Come on, back up. No, back up. Back up. Woo! Listen to that. So what they're doing is bellowing. This is a form of communication. You guys are getting an awesome show. I was not expecting that one bit. So these guys are bellowing. And if you can see in the water, this is all communication during the breeding season for these guys. And watch it suck in the air and then blow it down there. And these water beads bounce off their back. They call it the water dance. And they're not getting happy. That's Buddy out there telling them, hey, this is my spot. Don't be doing that in my territory. And that's scaring a few. Woo! Look at that. We're having some gator fight going on right now. This is cool stuff, y'all. If you've never experienced that before, it is amazing. Literally, it will rumble and shake some of our buildings up in the front there. I think maybe, oh, there we go. I thought we lost connection there, but we're good. That's so cool. You guys see it here. I'm going to try and get Predator to move back down just a little bit. Come on, buddy. Nope, back down. Come on, back up a little bit. Come on, back up. You're going to rub him on his nose, try and get him to back up a little bit here. Woo! That's so cool. That gets the adrenaline pumping real big here at Gatorland, especially witnessing it up close and personal. So again, this time of year, breeding season for these alligators, and that's all that communication. Now, Buddy's out there sitting there telling everybody, hey, stop doing that. This is my territory. You don't do this in my territory. Because these big males are saying, hey, I'm here. I'm the man. That's all a form of communication. They're trying to impress the females. And Buddy, whoa, death roll. Wow, Buddy is feisty today. Buddy, by far, is my all-time favorite alligator here in the park. I do a lot of work with him. And just look at that posture, how he's up, he's high. He's telling everybody, I'm big, I'm huge. He is the man right now, letting everybody know. Even though we're feeding him. These guys did it all themselves. Natural reaction for these guys to do, and they do it a lot of times. Like I said, during this time of year, it's breeding season. So the big males have their territories. They're establishing dominance in their territory. Whatever females are in their territory, that's who they're going to breed with, as many as possible. And they are just on fire this morning. Something woke them up this morning. You notice they were dead still, quiet, feeding a couple, and then all of a sudden, boom, it went off here. Something set them off, which is really, really cool. So you guys are getting an awesome treat. Was not expecting this at all. But, hey, anything can happen here at Gatorland, and you guys can actually get beyond this fence just like me and feed these gators when you come to Gatorland. It's called our Adventure Hour, and it's only $10 per person to come in beyond that fence and feed these giant gators up close and personal. Really cool. Awesome stuff to do here at Gatorland all the time. We got some sirens going off in the back. Don't know where those are coming off at there, but it's setting these gators off wild right now. So we're going to keep feeding a little bit. We're going to keep feeding here. And if you guys have any questions, guys, type them in there. We will be answering questions here in just a minute. Once we get to the Q&A session here, our gators are starting to kind of disappear because all that was going on there. Let's feed Buddy. Keep him at bay there so he's not messing with anybody else. And we still got Predator here and Turnpike. Scuba Steve was one that was here as well. They all disappeared. You notice that. Buddy said, hey, get out of here. Leave me alone. And only these few gators are now sitting here. We had like 50 of them. They're starting to slowly come back here because they know food is about to happen here. Predator up. Predator up. Oh, boy. There you go. Awesome, awesome stuff here. But again, guys, keep tuning in, answering or sending in those questions. Type them in. Again, want to answer, guys. A lot of cool stuff to do here at Gatorland. Not only just feeding these alligators. There's opportunities to be able to hold them, take a picture with them that will last a lifetime. One of our mottos here at Gatorland is we want to leave you with fun smiles and special memories. And we strive to do that every single day here. So a lot of cool opportunities to get hands-on, see these guys up close and personal. Because it's not every day you literally get feet away from these alligators or can do that. You don't want to ever do it, especially in the wild. It's against the law here in the state of Florida to feed, touch, and catch a wild alligator. And if you're caught doing that, minimum 6 months in jail and possibly a $500 fine to the state of Florida. These guys are still a protected species. Even though we have too many of them, even though there's about 1.5 million to 2 million alligators in the state of Florida. So when you travel here and you vacation and you go on holiday here and you're staying, especially around in houses that are near lakes and ponds, there are led to believe an alligator in every single body of fresh water. So you want to be safe around these guys. If you bring your pets with you, you want to be safe walking your pets around the lakes and the ponds and such, because these gators, they like to eat small things. So a small little dog or a small little cat on a leash is going to be like an easy meal for a gator, because typically out in the wild, what they eat are turtles, fish, and birds, mostly turtles. Pound for pound, alligators have the strongest bite of any animal in the entire animal kingdom. You saw Buddy out there biting down on some of those guys, telling them, hey, I'm right here. If he bit down full force, it's about 3,000 pounds per square inch of jaw pressure out there. So you got to be careful around these guys, and you got to be safe, especially visiting here in Florida if you decide to come. Definitely. And we're hoping you guys come and check out Gatorland. Again, we've been here for 70, going on 71 years now, and nothing's changing about these guys. It is really cool, really awesome, fun experience here at Gatorland if you come out here. I'm going to keep tossing some food here. I'm doing a lot of talking there. All right, Rachel, do we have any questions out there maybe I can answer right now?
Yes, we do. We have a few questions coming in. One of the most popular ones right now is, how can you tell the alligators apart? Do they all have names?
All right, so the easiest way for us to tell them apart, because we work with them every single day, it'd be like you having 2 puppies or 2 kittens at home. As they grow and get older, there's different characteristics on the body, whether it be fur color, certain marking, or anything like that, that you can help tell them apart. And it's the same thing for the gators. Sure, they all look the same, but everyone's got a different look, something on their face, something, about their body, a certain coloration on them. And that's what helps us tell them apart. Now, we work with them every single day, so we really get to know them day in and day out. Just like Predator. or like Turnpike or even Buddy out there, you know, we know the difference, and that's how we tell them apart.
Are the Gators friendly with you? You know, when you patted the nose, do you think they recognize and know who you are too?
So they definitely recognize who we are. They learn the tone of our voices, calling their name. But as necessarily friendly, there's maybe a handful that might be somewhat friendly. It's not friendly like dogs cuddling up to you and licking your face. They are just tolerant of us and know who we are. Now, I can tell you, Turnpike, who I really like, I think has it out for me for whatever reason. I think he really wants to eat me. And a lot of times when I'm around him, he is chasing me. Today, he's being good. He's chilling and he's sitting still. But a lot of we have a few that you have it out for our trainers and such here.
That's related to another question, which is, Brandon, have you had any injuries working with the Gators?
I plead the fifth. On that one. Okay, no comment. No, I mean, honestly, listen, we do everything in our power to be as safe as possible here at Gatorland. We have a great safety record handling these alligators, working with them, and so on. But they're dangerous animals, and something's bound to happen at some point when you work with dangerous animals. Luckily enough, knock on wood, we've never had anything very serious here. But as far as our trainers, every once in a while, we have a little accident, but it's not that bad. So we do everything in our power too. But, you know, things happen every once in a while.
Someone asked, how do you feel so comfortable around them? Do you ever get scared? Is there a sign they give before if they were to attack or be aggressive? How can you tell?
So I'm scared all the time. You can't see my bottom half, but my boots are shaking right now. Just kidding. No, honestly, we have that healthy sense of fear when we work with these animals. Once we lose that healthy sense of fear, that's when bad things are going to happen. Hi, Sandy. And then what we do is we go through a lot of extensive training working with these animals day in and day out. Before you can even handle these big guys, you got to learn to work with the little guys and learn the behaviors and such. So we kind of know what's going to happen when it's going to happen. But if you notice with an alligator, and let's pay it into Predator over here a little bit, and you'll see the way that Predator's laying right now, okay? So he's raising his head. He heard me talking, but his back legs are tucked up underneath of him. So when alligators sit out in the sun typically, and you can see a couple of these guys out here, their back legs are kind of sprawled out, kind of being a little lazy. When these guys get ready to move, this goes with both gators and crocodiles, they'll take their back legs and they'll tuck them right up underneath because they use their back legs to launch themselves off. Now, alligators don't see people's food. Some crocodile species in the world, like the giant ones in Africa, the Nile crocodiles, or the largest in the world, the saltwater crocodile in Southeast Asia and Northern Australia, they're known as man-eaters. They see people's food. And the reason for that is because they're built to take down wildebeest, zebra, water buffalo, kangaroo, bigger animals. So, a human being who is 150 pounds, maybe 200 pounds, that's kind of an easy snack per se for those species of crocodiles. But gators don't see people's food. They eat small things, tiny things, and they don't move too quick. Now, they run about 7 to 9 miles an hour, which a lot of people think it's a lot faster than that. But the thing is, when they decide to move, they don't go from zero and push on the gas pedal and accelerate to 9 miles an hour. They start at 9 miles an hour when they go. So it's that first jump, that first lunge, and then they lose all their speed. They swim about 10 to 12 miles an hour. Crocodiles are a little faster than alligators. Most of the crocodiles in the world get bigger than alligators as well. As I mentioned before, biggest gator ever found, 19 feet 2 inches. So, there's different signs that we look for to be able to tell. But typically, if you're out there in the wild and you see one and they're just sitting there, if they're going to move, they're going to take those back legs and tuck them up.
And there's a similar question. Someone asked, do they always act in an aggressive way? But the second half, which I don't think we've addressed yet, is there a certain way to calm them down?
I want to say there's a certain way to calm them down. If we just keep feeding them, that kind of shuts them up a little bit, because they get full bellies. They're like, oh, I need to sit here and let this settle a little bit. Kind of like us if we eat too much food and got to go sit on the couch or take a nap, But as far as like working with them, there's different techniques that we use to train these guys and get them used to us. They're never going to lose that fear of us, all right? They always have that fear a little bit. And these guys right here are mostly used to us, so they're not necessarily going to shy away like a wild alligator would. So they're used to us. So the gators here, Gatorland, can be a little bit more dangerous than ones in the wild, but just the same as the ones in the wild, they're they do exactly the same thing. But these guys are just so used to us that they've kind of lost a little bit of that fear towards us, per se, a wild alligator. Now the vultures are flying in to try and get a free meal. They're just a big pest here.
I was going to say, do the gators just ignore the vultures, or do they engage with them ever?
No, they'll ignore them most of the time. Vultures are good for the environment by cleaning up roadkill, but they're kind of gross, disgusting birds. The gators don't want to eat them. But we're an outdoor park, so we have a lot of natural wildlife that comes in here. Some wading birds. We have fish and turtles in our ponds and stuff that we never put in that are just naturally here. So if the gators feel hungry enough, they'll go after that natural prey, like the birds and the fish and turtles. But we feed them so well that for them to expend that energy after going after a bird or turtle is just too much. So they're really fat and lazy animals. But they surprise us every once in a while, just like you saw earlier with that bellowing and that little bit of fighting. They're quick.
Another question, if we're ever in a situation with a gator, what should we do to protect ourselves?
If you find yourself in a situation, so there's some myths and stories that we hear about alligators, especially here in Florida. One of them, of course, is how fast they run, which I just hit on, how fast they can run. But the next one is, if you're being chased by an alligator, how do you get away? And everybody says run zigzag, serpentine pattern. Run zigzag. That is not true. I don't know if anybody's ever tried running zigzag, maybe on a Friday night after hitting the bar or the pub or the club or something like that, but it doesn't work. Running zigzag is an old wives' tale made up 100 years ago by some old wife who wanted to see her husband get eaten. You run straight. If you don't think you can run straight and run 7 to 9 miles an hour, you just trip somebody and you walk away, okay? I'm joking. Don't trip anybody. Do not trip anybody. Again, they don't see us as food. We're way too big for them. But if you find yourself in this situation close to a gator, you want to back up as quick as you can, get away from them. And I would recommend you never turn your back to an alligator like I'm doing right now. But I feel comfortable because they're not chasing me at the moment. But if you're out in the wild, keep an eye on them. Once you turn your back, you can't see them and you don't know what's going on. So try to keep your eye on them, back up as quickly as you can. And your best tool ever for seeing an alligator, or if you ever see one, pull out your phone, take a picture of them, use binoculars, look at them from a distance, okay? But never, ever get close to them and never, ever feed them.
Another question that came in is, do the gators injure each other when fighting?
Sorry, say that again?
Do the gators injure each other when they're fighting?
Every once in a while. That's part of their life. Alligators fight over food. They fight over territory. They fight just to fight. And they will. So just like Turnpike there, who's missing his front right foot, he did that out in the wild. He got in a fight, gator bit off his foot, and he'll never regrow that foot. But gators and crocodiles have a lot of healing power in their blood, which allows them to, they actually have an extra valve in their heart, which allows them to control the blood flow more efficiently than most critters and even human beings there. And they can shut the blood flow off at that area to help heal it, to clot it. So literally his foot probably healed over in about 3 or 4 weeks. And now he's adapted to not having it. He walks on that nub like it's a foot with no problem. And he goes just as fast as any other alligator out here. But that's just the way he is. And he can't show any signs of weakness, because if they do, then what's going to end up happening is they're going to get eaten by a bigger gator. They are cannibalistic. That is part of their life. Females will lay about 35 to 40 eggs in their nest on average. And only 2 or 3 of those eggs that hatch out survive to become a big alligator. They get eaten by a lot of predators there. And if we can, I'd like to turn it over to Danny real quick, because he's got something special to show you talking about little baby gators. Can we do that? Danny, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There you are.
All right. What's up, everyone? So I'm not as brave as Brandon, so I'm hanging out with the little guy over here. This is Theodore, if you can see him. The Theodore was born about 10 months ago. Most all alligators are born at the end of July, early August, somewhere around there. So Theodore is only 10 months old right now. What we do is we hatch out our babies here at the park. So where Brandon's at is our huge, beautiful lake where they breed, and they'll lay their nest out there, and we go out there and we collect those eggs, because as you can see, those alligators are pretty wild up. So they'll actually eat the babies if they were to hatch out there. Plus, you saw all those wild birds coming in they might come in for a meal if you saw Theodore walking around. So we collect all the babies, the eggs, we bring them to our incubator. We get about 200 babies that hatch out every year here at Gatorland. So we have plenty of alligators. So we have plenty of babies hanging out. we should have some new babies coming here in the next couple months, which is going to be awesome. So this is Theodore. He's only about maybe a foot right now. Alligators grow around 1 foot every year until they reach maturity, which is like 6 or 7 years old. And then they start to slow down. They only start growing like 6 inches, 3 inches, 2 inches, all the way up until they die. Alligators never stop growing. So they could get as big as the ones you see out there by Brandon, 15, 16 feet pretty easily. Now, he's real small, but they are born with teeth, if you can see. I'll try to show you in there. They're born with the same amount of teeth as mom and dad. There's 82 teeth in there. Can you see them? There we go.
Danny, why is your hand shaking so much?
I'm trying to hold him to the camera. He's moving.
Look at those tiny teeth.
They are very tiny, and they're very sharp. When they're small, their teeth have to be a lot sharper because they do not have the power as those big ones, like Brandon was saying. Buddy out there has 3,000 pounds of crushing power. He doesn't have that yet, so his teeth are a lot sharper to help him eat. Once they get older, those teeth start to dull down, but they have all that pressure to close, which will keep him from eating those, will help him eat those turtles. So he has to eat some small fish right now. We cut up some meat for him. We'll cut up the fish, or we'll cut up some chicken, or even the steaks that Brandon was throwing out there. So he's definitely well fed as well. And like I said, he's here at Gatorland in our baby gator marsh. We have a whole bunch of those guys out there. Theodore is probably going to be in Gator his whole life for sure, but he's probably going to be in that little marsh over here when you guys come out. So if you guys come check out Theodore, he'll be in the baby gator marsh. So definitely go see Theodore for sure.
Definitely, that's awesome. So, yeah, like Danny said, all those babies are swimming around in our baby gator marsh here at Gatorland, and you can see them. And we actually have an example of a nest in that baby gator marsh and what they look like. Now, being breeding season, gators actually build a nest. So that little baby is going to hatch out of an egg that is a little bit bigger than a chicken egg. Alligator eggs are kind of oval in shape, and they're just a little bit bigger than like a jumbo-sized chicken egg that you get at the grocery store. And they're only 6 inches long when they hatch out of the egg. Now, typically, gators, their tail makes up a little more than half of their body length, and you can actually see that on little Theodore right there. That tail is about half, if not a little more than half of his body length, which their tail is used strictly for swimming and as a second defense. Their main defense are those teeth. They're going to come after you, the teeth. They don't chase you backwards trying to slap you to death with their tails, not one bit. So they go. And again, those babies, about 35 to 40 babies hatch out of nests. So imagine you're a mama alligator. You have 35 babies that all look the same, all sound the same, and then you try and take them shopping at the grocery store or the mall. The problem is these little babies are very curious. So one's going to go off and eat a little minnow. One's going to go off and eat a little tadpole. The other one's going to swim away, and this hawk will fly down and grab them. Or another one will go, and a raccoon gets a hold of them. So within about 3 months of hatching out, mama gators will be down to about 25 from 35 babies. And another 6 months, she'll be down to 10. And then that year goes by, and off in the distance, she'll hear those big male alligators bellowing like they were doing earlier. And she'll bite and nip her babies and kick them out of the house. And if they stick around, she'll eat them. So Danny and I tell everybody, just kick your kids out of the house at 18 or tell them you're going to eat them. Just kidding.
They have to go to college or they're eating.
Right? Stay home as long as possible. It helps, you know. But it's a very tough life for those baby alligators. This guy Theodore's got a great chance of living a very long life because he was born here at Gatorland and so well taken care of. But out in the wild, his chances are below probably 5% of living. So once they get to 4 feet, they're doing really good and have a great chance. Their only predators are people and bigger alligators there. And Danny is one of our main trainers here at Gatorland, handling with these gators. He's been here for a whole bunch of years, and he absolutely loves just getting out there and visiting with people and showing these guys off, because it's not every day, again, that we get to show these gators or people get close to these alligators. And that's something that's a lot of fun for myself and Danny as well, getting out there and showing them to everybody. So really neat. And I'm going to pass the camera back off to somebody holding it here. We're going to show you a couple more gators up close here and try. I'm going to switch the camera here for just a second. There we go. Oh, listen to that call. Is he grunting?
Yeah, he's grunting a little bit right now.
So what does that noise mean, Danny? Tell him what that noise means.
So like Brandon was saying, there's a whole bunch of babies that are, when they're hatched out, they'll all start making that noise because they're a little scared. So they're trying to call for mom. So mom will hear that noise. So if they start hatching out the nest and mom's not paying attention, they'll make that noise from their egg, and mom could go over there and help them either crack open the egg if they need to, and she'll take them down to the water. So that noise is just to call mom and tell her what's going on. Like, Mom, come help me. So they make that noise all the time when they're young, and when they start getting older and mom starts kicking them out, they'll stop that call and realize they have to battle on their own. But that's all that call is, just a call for mom.
Look at that. That's crazy.
That is crazy out there, Brandon.
Predators starting to, okay. Now they're starting to get a little more enticed here. They see what's going on. We got another big guy that just moved up. Predator, you hold, stay. No, don't do that. Come on. I know you want to get closer to the camera, but you can't be chasing us. You can't be chasing us, buddy. You got to back up just a little bit. Back up just a little bit. And guys, never try that at home. It takes a lot of years of experience and practice to do it. Again, this is just my first day on the job, so we're doing great. I'm just kidding, okay? Come on, Predator, back up just a little bit. Now, Rachel, we got any more questions here? We're just about out of food here, so if we're ready to take some questions, feel free to.
Yeah.
I'd love to answer as many as possible.
We have quite a few. Some of them came in about Theodore there. One question, what would it feel like if Theodore bit you? Does it hurt already? Are his teeth sharp? How would it feel?
If Theodore was to bite right now, it wouldn't really do much. It maybe if he got a hold of you and started shaking, he can maybe make you bleed, if that. But they're sharp for us. Our skin's a little tougher, but it won't do too much. Even at this size, I know it looks bad, but I could probably stick my finger in his mouth and he wouldn't even do nothing to it. So he realizes we're not food, so he won't even try to bite, really.
Are they the same teeth that they keep their whole life, or do they lose them like humans do?
They lose them more than we do. They go through about 2,000 to 3,000 teeth in their lifetime. So 2,000 to 3,000. Yeah, they're kind of stacked like ice cream cones. They're hollowed out in the underneath. So once one pops out, because all that jaw pressure when they're older, they're going to start breaking stuff when they're biting down on those turtle shells, which will help him grow a new pair of teeth that are a lot sharper coming in. And they'll just keep on coming until they get all the way to the end of their time. So 2,000 to 3,000 in their whole life.
Well, another person says that their eyes are so cool. How do they see? What sort of vision do they have?
Let's see if we can see this here.
Here, and I'll try. Well, there you go. Nice big eye on him. And then we got I can't get too close to Predator.
Yours is a little tougher to get to, Brandon. But their eyes are really cool. They work a little different than ours do. He can see a lot. You can see almost 360, as you can see, because his eyes are on the side of the head. And they have if you watch, it's kind of hard to see. They have another eyelid that swings across. I don't know if it's doing it or not. But that's something you can see underneath the water.
Just like that.
Can you see it?
Yep, we saw it.
Yeah, so that's like his goggles for underneath the water. So that will cover his eyes. They'll be able to see what they're doing, and they'll be able to figure out where they're going. So let's see if we can see it one more time.
That
and
eyelid.
If you notice, their eye drops down into their head there. So they always say if you ever get attacked by an alligator, try to poke out their eyes. That's not the best option because it doesn't really do much. Not at all. Put it in their head and they protect it.
Not at all. Yep. And watch when it comes across. You'll see it move from the left, from the right of the screen to the left, if you're looking at it. So that membrane, it's called a nictitating membrane, and like Danny said, a built-in swimming goggle.
Wow. And then we have a question from Anna and Paul. Is a baby gator just as dangerous as a grown-up? You've talked about this a bit. And then they also asked, what is the average number of babies a gator has over its lifetime?
So female gators, so they become adults and can start reproducing when they're about 6 or 7 years. When they're about 6 or 7 years old, which is about 6 or 7 feet long. So typically, it takes a female maybe a year or two after that age to really get the hang of building a nest and breeding with the males and establishing herself as a mama alligator. But once they do, they can have babies every single year for their entire life. Now, gators typically live 50 to 80 years. Now, like I mentioned, not all those eggs are going to survive to become a big gator. They average about 35 to 40 eggs in their nest. But let's just say, hypothetically, we have 1.5 million alligators here in the state of Florida. Hypothetically, half of those are female, and then let's take half of those females, and half of those females all successfully breed, build nests, all 35 to 40 eggs hatch out. You would be, and survive, you'd be looking at 17 million alligators in the state of Florida, which isn't the case, okay? The chances are the females maybe will have a few years in their life. I'd say maybe 10 to 15 at the most where they don't produce a nest, don't lay any eggs. Maybe they didn't, breed with a male, or they got run out of their territory, or just something happened. But they have the opportunity to breed and have babies every single year. And of those babies every year, if they do it for 50 years, you're looking at maybe 100 babies that could possibly survive at the least. Maybe more, but at the least maybe 100 babies over those 50 years.
And a relevant question, someone asked, how many alligators are there at Gatorland?
So at Gatorland, we have close to 3,000 alligators and crocodiles total. Of those, probably about 200 are crocodiles, and the rest are alligators. Here on property itself, though, because we do have some baby alligators at some doctors' offices and some visitor centers throughout the state of Florida. Here on property, we have about 2,400 alligators total.
And what's the difference between gators and crocodiles?
Easiest way is that shape of the nose. Alligators have that big rounded U-shaped snout like the letter U. Crocodiles are long and skinny like the letter V. That's the easiest way to tell them apart. Most of the crocodiles get bigger. They're a little bit more of the tan, the kind of olive color in their skin, compared to where the alligators are like that dark black charcoal gray color. But when they're younger, they have that striping like you saw in Theodore. And that's because gators, when they're young, they tend to stay in the shallow waters. So the striping helps them blend in and camouflage in the weeds, the grasses, and so on. And as they get older, they move to deeper water and become that darker color to blend in that muddy, murky water here in Florida.
And are they sunbathing there to stay warm? How do they keep warm?
Definitely. That's what they're doing right now. They're trying to stay nice and warm. So they're cold-blooded animals. All reptiles are. And they need that heat and that sun to warm up. So on their backs, you'll notice all those bumps, and those are basically bone plates in their skin. And in those bone plates are tiny little holes, so they act as solar panels, prehistoric solar panels, in fact, because there's blood. I can't get it off there's blood vessels. Blood vessels running through those bone plates. And as the sun soaks up, goes right in the bloodstream and warms them up. So they're sitting out there warming up. Now, you'll notice crocodiles sometimes sit with their mouths open, or at least a lot of times when they're sitting out in that sun, and they're regulating their body temperature that way, almost the same way as a dog would pant to cool down. Those crocodiles and even gators do it every once in a while. They keep that mouth open to get more heat, or if it's too cold or if it's too warm, to actually cool off as well. Ooh, listen to him talk. And every time you want him to talk, he never does it on camera.
I know. I tried to stay quiet so you could hear it, but it's not working.
Well, that's the cutest thing. And that's how mama knows her babies are starting to hatch out. She'll start hearing that noise, that grunting noise go on. And she'll come up to her nest and she'll clear off the material. And something cool mama gators and crocodiles do is they'll actually pick up the eggs inside of their mouth without crushing them, without swallowing and hurting them. And she'll rub that egg against the roof of her mouth with her tongue, and she'll break the egg and hatch the baby gator inside of her mouth. And she'll actually pick up the babies in her mouth ever so gently to be able to get them to a safe place in the water away from predators. Because just like baby sea turtles, if you've ever heard or seen anything about baby sea turtles, when they hatch out, there's predators trying to get them when they try and go to the ocean. It's the same thing with baby gators and crocodiles. A bunch of predators are trying to eat them in the process of them hatching out. So mama's trying to get as many as she can to the safety of the water there. So these guys, these big guys back here, they're getting full. They're enjoying that sun right there. So if we have any other questions, feel free.
Yeah, we've got a bunch, and I'll tell the people on the call, I put that link there. If you haven't asked a question, that's fine. Vote on your favorites, because we have 20 questions here. We don't probably have time for all of them. So vote on your favorites, and I'll go in that order. But right now on top, there's a couple more questions on the crocodile versus alligator. It's just, are they separated? And if so, why are they separated?
Here at Gatorland, you're going to see both gators and crocodiles together in our main 15-acre lake up in the front of the park. So here in Florida, is the only place in the world naturally where gators and crocodiles cohabitate with each other. We have the American alligator, and then we have the American crocodile. That is the only species of crocodile found here in the United States, and they live down south in the Everglades where they cohabitate with the gators. Otherwise, in the other parts of the world, it's just crocodiles or it's just gators. Now, there's 24 species of crocodilians in the entire world. So they're all known as crocodilians. Gators, crocodiles, caiman, which are found down in South America. And in Brazil, they call them jacarés. That's their word for alligator. But it's different. It's a little different. They have caiman. They don't have gators, and they have a species of crocodile down there. But in Brazil, that's what they call them. Jacarés is their word for alligator because that's what they think they are. But totally little different. That's a whole nother story. But we have two types of alligators, American and Chinese. And then you have about 5 different species of caiman found down in South America. Most of the caiman stay under 6 or 7 feet long, but there's one species that can get up to 20 feet long. It's called the black caiman, and they look very similar to alligators. And then the rest are all crocodiles. And then you have a species in India called the Indian Gharial, which have really, really, really long, skinny snouts, and they're mainly fish eaters. And the Gharials are the most... they're the species of crocodilian that's most related to the prehistoric crocodiles, the closest ancestor to them that they have. So a lot of different species throughout the world, but here in Florida, we have 2, the American gator and the American crocodile right here in Florida. Naturally, gators live as far north as North Carolina here in the United States and as far west as Texas. So the whole southeastern United States, Florida being the fact we have the most, and everybody loves to come to Florida, don't they?
Great. And we've got a question. How old do you think Turnpike is?
If I were to guess, because he wasn't born here at Gatorland, they don't show any signs of aging, so you have to have him since they hatched out. But if I were to guess, I'd say he's probably about 20, maybe 25 years of age. He's still pretty young for an alligator and living his best life now here at Gatorland. But typically, like I said, average lifespan is about 50 to 80 years. One of our oldest here in the park, he is 70 years old. His name is Pops. He's been here since we opened up. And then out in the wild, their average lifespan is about 40 to 50 years of age. So it's a little less out in the wild just because they have to deal with all those elements out there, and they wouldn't necessarily get the care like they do here at Gatorland, veterinarily speaking.
And we've got a question from Ingrid. Isn't it dangerous for turtles when they are in the neighborhood of a gator?
They can be potentially dangerous because gators like to eat turtles. But honestly, with turtles and all the wading birds like the egrets and the herons, they live a symbiotic relationship with gators and crocodiles. They benefit from one another. So yes, the gator might get a turtle as a meal, but the turtle is going to get something from the alligator, whether that be a place to sit and sun themselves, because you always see turtles sitting on gators thinking they're a big log. Maybe some food after an alligator's chowed down on something like a bird or some fish. Some of the scraps fall off in the water and float, and the turtle might get food from that. And it's the same thing with the birds, the egrets and stuff. And you can see one kind of sitting way off in the distance there, that white bird there. That's an American egret. So they'll build their nest and lay their eggs and raise their young above the gators or crocodiles in the swamps like this throughout the world. And one of those main areas that is perfect, and you can check them out online, is down in Brazil. It's called the Pantanal Swamp. And you see a great example of the caiman and the birds living symbiotically with each other out there. So the gators give protection by keeping predators and things like that from the swamp. Now we're going to turn the camera just a little bit here. All right. Just a little bit. And you can see kind of that bird way off in the distance there, just sitting there. His head's kind of covered from the other branch. But these gators are now starting to get a little bored. They're like, oh man, you're out of food. They're going to start swimming away again. But you notice a bunch of them came back. And that bird's just hanging out there. The gators don't care because we've been feeding them. So they're so used to getting fed by us, they don't need to go chase that bird. But it happens every once in a while.
And someone asked, when do they choose to be in the water or on land?
Gators typically like to be in the water. They're not necessarily made to be up on land. They're very slow and not great up on land. They will be there. Like, as you can see right now, they're just kind of chilling. But for a big alligator, especially like Buddy, who weighs 1,200 pounds, for him to get out of the water and move all that weight around for a long distance on land is going to be a work of art if he manages to do it. But it's going to waste a lot of energy that he has. But don't get me wrong, Gators Walk, they do move. They've tracked alligators walking 9 miles from one body of water to the next body of water, especially here in Florida. When we go through our dry season and those ponds kind of dry up and disintegrate, and then they got to find other food source or other body of water, they're going to get up and move. But they prefer to be down in that water.
Wow. And who names the alligators?
So all of us do. So the guys that work with the guys and gals that work with these alligators get a chance to name them over the years. But a lot of these guys were named way long ago before I even started working here. And I've been here for 15 years now. So a lot of them were named already. So I got taught their names when I started working here. So we all get a chance to name some new ones if they come in or are hatched out here at Gatorland. But again, a lot of these guys were named long before any of us worked here. Right now, some of our bosses, there's one boss who's worked here for like 30 years, another guy that's worked here for like 28. So they've been around for a long time. But there isn't anybody here currently working in the park that has been here since we opened up in the day, other than the family that owns Gatorland.
And someone asked, how many alligators come from the wild or are born at Gatorland? And then what's the best story of a gator that's come to you guys?
So probably one of our more famous alligators that came to us from the wild is Chester. He's known as a dog eater. So 20 years ago, he was in a Tampa Bay neighborhood, and some kids were feeding him, and he got used to people very quickly. And he went after 7 dogs in the neighborhood, and he got a hold of 4. And he was 12 feet long then. A German Shepherd, a Boxer, and a Labrador Retriever were 3 of the 4 that he got a hold of. So, of course, he made big news. We called the trapper up, paid the trapper to keep him alive, saved his life, brought him here to Gatorland. But typically every year we get about 200 to 300 alligators born here at Gatorland. Some years in the past we've had bigger numbers. Some years we've had a little bit lower number. It just depends on what's going on in the season. We let these guys do what they naturally do by themselves. We don't necessarily promote it. We let them do what they want to do. And once we see those nests being built and those eggs laid, we'll go out there and collect those eggs and incubate them. And we hope for about half of what we collect to incubate and hatch out. It's very scientific, and it's a very daunting task. The temperature's just got to be right. Of course, the temperature in the nest determines whether the babies are going to be male or female, so we try to get that even amount. And sometimes the eggs are just not fertilized, or sometimes in the nest. There's a lot of things that can get to the nest before we get a chance to, being an outdoor park. Fire ants might get in the nest and raid it and go into the eggs and kill what's inside the egg. Sometimes raccoons raid the nest, and they love to eat baby alligator eggs. So we try to get to them as quickly as you can, but sometimes we're not here. Somebody isn't here every single night to watch these nests. So sometimes during the night is when those nests get raided, and we try to do what we can. But we hope for about anywhere from about 200 to 400 eggs every single year to hatch out here at Gatorland and have those babies. Being the fact that we are known as the alligator capital of the world, we provide a lot of alligators to other zoos and other facilities throughout the United States and even throughout the world through either trading or selling to those facilities so that they have alligators display and show them off to people throughout. But that's why we're called the alligator capital of the world.
Great. And I'll throw a few more at you in the time we have left. So a couple around how long are the alligators pregnant for if they're mating now and born in July or August? How long does it take for the eggs to hatch?
All right, so breeding season starts about the end of April, beginning of May. Now, depending on if it's a warmer winter like we had this year, these guys started a little sooner. Right at the beginning of April is really when breeding season started. And we already have nests going now, which were built a couple weeks ago. And they... So we've already collected some of those eggs. So once we collect the eggs, once we see the females build their nest, it takes a couple days for them to go ahead and lay those eggs. And we give them about a day to sit in the nest because they're very soft when they're first laid. And it takes about a day for those eggs to actually harden up to get an outer, harder shell on that egg. And so what we do is we'll go collect them, and it takes 60 to 65 days for those eggs to hatch out. So typically, babies are born at the end of August, beginning of September. We're probably going to have babies, because we had a warmer winter this year, born at the end of July, beginning of August. We're waiting to see. But once we collect those eggs, once females lay them, it takes 60, 65 days. And basically the gestation period for females is about 3 to 4 weeks long.
Someone wants to know, how did Brandon start loving gators? It's not a very huggable animal. Someone else asked, what does it take to work at Gatorland? So maybe those are kind of related questions.
So I've always loved animals, and Danny could probably say the same thing. We've always loved animals, always wanted to work with animals. I never expected I'd find myself here at Gatorland working with these critters for 15 years. It's the best career that I can ask for. But when I came here and applied for the job, they asked me if I was the right amount of dumb on the application, and I checked yes. So the rest is history after. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of us, listen, we all come from different walks of life. Some of us have degrees in animal stuff. Some of us have degrees and other things. Some of us have no degrees. It's all on-job training. Everything I learned working here from experts that were my mentors here before I started and throughout my career now here. But working with these animals day in and day out, you learn something new every single day. I literally was just looking for a summer job after I graduated high school and came here and applied. Somebody told me about it, and I auditioned for a position to be a show person, do the shows here, and got the job, and the rest is history. That's what happened for me. And I've loved every minute of it. Can't say nothing but the best about working here at Gatorland. But to be able to work here at Gatorland, you have to be at least 18 years old. That's a minimum requirement here in the United States and here at Gatorland here in Florida. So we have all kinds of different job opportunities here. Of course, everybody wants to work with the animals because that's the coolest thing, but not everybody gets to work with the animals. But if you are an employee here at some point in your life, you're going to get up close and personal to these guys and enjoy them just as much as we do day in and day out. So
great. Someone says they love that story. A couple kind of Gatorland general questions. One person wants to know who founded Gatorland and why, and someone else wants to know what other animals are at Gatorland.
All right, so let's answer the other animal question. So besides gators and crocodiles, we have snakes, bugs, birds, lizards, 2 panthers, 3 bobcats, an African serval cat. Did I say birds? We do have a bunch of birds, all kinds of birds like parakeets and macaws. We got turtles, big tortoises. So we actually have the 3 species of tortoise that are the largest tortoises in the world. Not them individually, but as a species, they are. So we have Aldabra tortoises, Galapagos tortoise, and we have African spur-thighed tortoises. So the Galapagos is known as the biggest, and her name is Lucy, and she's about 29 years old and 350 pounds. And she's in an exhibit with her boyfriend, his name is Dean, and he's an Aldabra tortoise. Believe it or not, Dean is 110 years old and weighs 500 pounds. And he comes from the Seychelles Islands off the coast of Africa. And, of course, Galapagos come from the Galapagos Islands. And then the African spur-thighed, his name is Kendrick, and they come from Africa, from the savannas of Africa there. But those 3 species are known as the largest tortoises in the world. And the difference between tortoises and turtles, all right, tortoises are on land, turtles can go in water and land. And my battery is getting really close to dying here, Rachel. Apologize.
No worries. We're on to the last question, and Danny, I'm sure, can take it if you drop off.
Sure.
This one is, what do gators have in common with dinosaurs?
You want me to take that, Brandon?
You can take that if you want to.
Well, yeah, they've been around since the dinosaurs, pretty much. They probably looked a little different. Something like this, like Theodore here, probably wouldn't last that long with the dinosaurs. They say they used to be huge, though, like extremely long, huge animals. They've lasted because they know how to survive out in the wild. They don't need much. They're able to survive off a bare minimum. They can last 6 months without eating anything. All they need to do is hide in water. They can hide underneath the water for like 2-3 hours at a time. So they've been around since the dinosaurs. They're pretty much a modern day dinosaur right now. The closest thing I believe you're going to find besides, they say, the birds. But this is pretty much a dinosaur. They survive with literally nothing.
Yeah.
Great. And with that, I'll pass it on for behalf of everyone I see in the chat saying thank you. People are saying they really love the experience, that they can't wait to visit when they're in the U.S. Thank you, both of you, for introducing us to so many scaly friends, or at least acquaintances out there. Turnpike, theater, everyone, so many great characters today. for everyone on the line, you can check out the Culture Festival landing page, which I've just put in the chat to sign up for even more virtual sessions like this one. Do please check out Gatorland on social media, on YouTube. They have more stories of similar gators on there. And you can also check out, of course, the Tiqets blog for more inspiration on ways to experience culture, both from home if you're still stuck at home or when it's safe in your area out and about once again. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you so much, Brandon and Danny. We hope to see all of you again soon, and please have a great rest of your day wherever you are.
And I want to say thank you to Tiqets as well for having us. It's great to be a partner with you guys. Enjoy doing this. I'm glad we could actually do this. And just a quick side note for those people out there, something maybe somebody want to know. Most of these animals we have here at Gatorland, besides the gators and crocodiles, even though some of them are part of that, a lot of these animals were rescues from people who couldn't had them as pets, couldn't take care of them anymore, or they were at a facility that closed down or something like that. So we do rescue a lot of animals, which is all part of our conservation efforts. And we appreciate you guys coming to visit. We appreciate you tuning in virtually because at the end of the day, it's all about these animals and these guys and how well they're taken care of. And we can't do it without you folks. So we do appreciate it.
Thanks for that, Brandon. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay.